Go. Hello, everybody, and thank you for tuning in or viewing in. Or this is not a radio. This is a video, and it's on Facebook and Rumble and YouTube and Spotify, LinkedIn, X, and the numerous pages on Facebook is where I expand out my reach. And this is Dave Emmons, and it's a strange reality. And I talk about everything that's strange. My wife may think I'm strange doing this, but yeah, she's more fundamental than I am, but I kind of get out there because I've had these experiences. So I want everybody to know the truth about what's going on out there. And this disclosure is coming a little bit too slow. And I'm going to talk to my guest about that. We need to get something going here. I thought this new regime was going to open up the doors and say, hey, here they are. Nope, that's not happening so quick. Something's just not right. So my guest, in which you guys liked him last time, we had him on the show a couple of months ago. Let's see, what date was that? Yeah, it was only about a month and a week or so ago, but he's you guys liked him and got a good uptick on numbers on Facebook, and I like that with the strange reality here. My guest is Michael O. Sedona, and he's from Sedona, and I love Sedona. And the guy I got the liking also. He's a great guy, but he's a very talented guy, and he's a guy that can enlighten people. He's he's multimedia developer, songwriter, screenwriter. Oh, by the way, I couldn't get that song, Michael, off of the it wouldn't take. I couldn't get it off of your link that you give me.
I'll get you another link.
Yeah, I couldn't open it. So yeah, that I'm a computer nerd. There's no doubt about it. But that I just couldn't do. He's a songwriter, and also I've been a musician, so we got some close ties. Most ET people are people that's involved in the strange or the researchers. They play music for some reason. I don't know what that is. The musicians are strange. I don't know. Screenwriter, musician, engineer, programmer, animator, TV show host, contactee. Michael is a multi talented individual who never learned that enough is enough, a never ending quest for knowledge that has driven him to pursue many fields. Summa graduate in computer science, and he's a computer whiz, and I'm just the opposite. I tell my admin people, I said, look, I'm screwing up here. Could you help me out? Just every little step. Websites drive me crazy. And Who's Who in Media and Communications, Creator Development 115 show, pioneer of digital video production, spatial FX, teacher of multimedia software, electrician and electrical engineer, author, programmer, and digital curricula, multi-instrument musician. That's what I do too. But uh, yeah, that's a lot of fun. But it gets after a while you retire from that, and you love to get back into it. So never quit, Michael. Never quit. But after retiring from DoD projects with a top secret clearance, he found himself in the inner circle, a group of Phoenix whose mission, a group in Phoenix, okay, whose mission was to uncover cover-ups. After finding Kincaid's cave at the Grand Canyon and more cover-ups, he was introduced to three 8 foot tall ETs from the Crux constellation. Crux constellation. Okay. This scientist contactee has a lot to say and even created his own TV channel with his own server to disclose that information. And I love the job you're doing, Michael Sedona. You're doing a great job enlightening people. And man, you got your tentacles out there in all these fields and all this expertise. I wish I just had a fourth of that expertise. Michael Sedona, what can you tell people to start with?
Oh, well, first of all, take a breath. Okay, take a breath, everybody. Things are not as tense as they were before the end of December. So it's very important that you um, have that small remembrance of that large self that you are part of. Okay, so it's all good. We averted a major disaster. We're in mop up operations right now, cleaning up the bad guys and planting the seeds for an amazing golden age that is coming right here in America, and hopefully through example the rest of the world.
Yeah, I think things are going to be starting to look up here in the US, and I hope that other countries like Canada, Mexico, Europe, and all of them also get together. There's been more UFO sightings. Are I know you had this thing about UFO uh, nomenclature or whatever, but uh, there's been they're coming back. I mean, what was it last winter? They were in New Jersey, New York, and there were drones and all this other stuff. I think we talked about that on the last show. Uh, I would like to talk to you openly about disclosure, Michael. I know you got your ear to the ground in a lot of ways. Michael, what is disclosure looking like right now? To me, I'm kind of like disappointed.
Well, disclosure of ET and source planets of the species that we're in contact with on our space stations and stuff like that, that is low on the priority list right now. Um, what's more important on the priority list is a sound country, a sound money supply, peace on earth, stopping the killing and abuse of children,
Mhm.
and uh, getting humans to appreciate the speciality and fragility of humans.
Yes.
Okay. And so, really, it's not about ETs wanting to land on the front yard at the White House or whatever. It's about they know that wouldn't be good until humans get their poop together.
Hmm.
I don't know how censored I am. So
You can say it. You can say shit. I mean, I say shit every once in a while. That's just that damn and shit. You know,
so that's
people.
it. I mean,
Yeah.
in all forms of the word, we got to get our shit together. So
Yeah.
that is um, people. Here's another tidbit of information in case we didn't cover it. Phoenix Lights, December 13th. I'm sorry, March 13th, 1997 was a a review, as it were, a judicial review of the humans en masse on Earth to discuss whether they were close to being allowed to be a part of the interstellar community. So that we have 42 stars, including our sun, that's part of the local star cluster. And so there's a local representation in that. And they had a meeting at South Mountain in Phoenix where 42 craft all appeared at South and converged at South Mountain, although the media only covered one. You talk to anybody who lives here and that's part of the watch group that I was in, and they'll tell you there was at least 20. Well, I've learned that there were 42.
Right.
And they all converged into this portal that South Mountain has and had their discussion as to whether the humans, Earth humans en masse, because we already have a breakaway civilization that's all part of it, but whether Earth humans en masse were ready to have the big front lawn, experience, I call it.
Hmm.
And overwhelmingly, the vote was no. So that being the case, and we all know why. Look what happened. Look how people reacted to a fake demic. Look how people react to instigation of, look, hate those people over there. And it's, there's a war going on. I
Yes.
mean, we have to be more mature than that. Or we're
Yeah,
not going to survive out there.
yeah, I heard that's what the ETs are waiting for is
Yeah.
for to get our shit together, and we're not doing it. We're killing each other. We're still animals to each other. Uh, I wanted to talk to you, talking about disclosure. I heard some stuff about Louis Alessandro, and he's joined with the Space Force. He's been with them, I guess, for a little bit. And then there was a Dick Doty. You might know him. He's pretty famous on Facebook and all, you
And
know.
you're asking me about individuals.
Mhm.
And Dave, it means if I don't know them personally, I can't get that information from the stream of all knowledge. When your question resolves to an individual, except me, because I can answer it, but I have no idea.
Okay, what I've heard
You want
about
to ask
Louis,
me about a theory,
yeah.
but don't mention the person's name,
Okay.
and then the question can be, retrieved. But I'm
Okay.
really not big, and I don't read other people's books. on philosophy or the space stuff, although I have everybody's autographed book, um, is because I don't want to. I'm 66 years old, and I don't want to get to the point someday down the road where I would be pulling up someone else's information and instead of it coming directly from the stream.
Hmm.
I want to know that the information that I have is coming from the stream. And that's why I don't read other people's books and study other people's theories and that kind of stuff. Because yeah, the one thing that's most important to me, Dave,
Yeah.
is my credibility,
Mm.
my my honor.
Right.
And so I'm not going to do anything that's going to jeopardize that.
Okay, I'll finish off by saying this is what I heard and saw in print about Louis Alessandro. He's working with Space Force, and he's not so much, I guess, working for disclosure directly. He's more on the military side of it, trying to keep the information tightly bundled, whatever. I don't want to get into like, I don't want to say the word dis or whatever, but Dick Doty turned down the job with Space Force, and he's been involved in a lot of things in his past. He seems like a great guy. I could never get him on my show because somebody told me he's afraid I might ask the wrong question. I don't ask the wrong question. I just did to you about a person's name, but I'm sorry about that. I won't do that again. But
No, that's a wrong question. That's just a category of question that I can't pull an answer from the stream of all knowledge. The ETs gave me the ability, for those who didn't watch last time's episode, my face-to-face meeting with ET gave me the ability to take any question that Dave or anybody else asks, and myself, I can ask myself a question for God's sake,
Mhm.
and out comes the answer from the stream of all knowledge. But there's two categories of questions that you can't ask for me to pull that answer. One is any question that resolves to an individual, or two, any question that's in a language other than English or German.
Okay. You know German. Oh,
I expect my English, yeah.
oh, wow. Okay. Hey, I wanted to ask you a question. I think we might have gotten around to it a little bit. There's something that's I haven't even told my wife about this last sighting. I've been seeing a young girl, 14, 15 years old, with dark hair. She could be Asian. I haven't seen her face real well. And this started about 3 months or so ago. And I saw her behind my complex and she got up and ran. She had a big white smock on, like a big, huge t shirt covering up. She had some clothes underneath of it, but she had a little bag. She just got up and took off and running after I pulled in the parking lot. She just ran out the fence.
Hmm.
And I was wondering who was that. And then about 2 weeks later, I saw, I think it was her, same one, with dark hair with a black hoodie on. She had a backpack and had pants that were about 10 times the size of her. And I thought she was a homeless person, but she didn't look over at me. I would ask her, "Hey, you need some money or you need something?" She looked like about 15 also. And then my wife and I saw her down the road, about a mile down the road, walking with that backpack, going to a neighborhood that I don't even think she's even belongs to. And then the third time, my wife and I saw her walking on the side of the street, just about 2 blocks north of me. And now, last Thursday, I was with two friends and my brother, and we were having lunch into a meeting, old guys getting together. And as I walked out the door, in one of the booths, there was a young girl sitting there, dark hair, and she had a bunch of jewelry on. She must have only been, like I said, 15, 16 years old. And when I walked by, I kind of got quiet, like, and I looked at her. She looked up at me, and I kind of thought that I knew her, and that she's that same girl I've seen 4 times. I'd like to ask you. I've had met, with an ET in Sedona, 2010, and they took some samples from me because I had a regress dream in that lodge room, and I'm thinking I felt the baby's hand in I think it was in the springtime of 2011, just about 5 6 months after that. I felt the baby's hand in an abduction where I was being electrocuted and just immobilized. And I thought, what was that baby's hand telling me? And now I've got this young girl that's 14 or 15 years old that I'm kind of thinking, is she my hybrid daughter?
The first thing that hit me, Dave, and I don't filter. I just let it come in and let it go out and consider it a data point, is time traveler.
She's a time traveler.
This girl is from the future because you can only travel backwards in time.
Hmm.
This girl is in the future and she traveled back to be near you, maybe. I don't know. I'm not getting anything beyond that, but the first thing that hit me was time traveler. So I would be I would be interested to find out how much of her shows up on film or on
Yeah.
your camera.
I've never taken film of her. I should have talked to her at that restaurant. She was sitting there all by herself, and she looked like she had a bowl of something she was eating. And another question I had, my two friends and my brother, I don't think they saw her. Is it possible that only you can see certain things like a dimensional person?
Generally, that would be somebody who's a fifth dimensional being who's slowed themselves down to reflect light in a controlled way and in a controlled shape. And they can be seen by the angle that they want and not anyone else.
Yeah.
Uh, they also have the ability to, if you look at the right point of them, that would be their eyes, uh, once they're solid, they can hypnotize you and put images
Yes. Hmm.
in your head. But what I would want, if I were to run into someone like this, first of all, I want to know if they show up on film. Second of all, I want to know if they show up through the infrared filter of your camera of your phone. Thirdly, I would want to sit down and say, "Hi, when are you from?"
Yeah.
Not where are you from? When are you from?
That's a good question. Good
See
question.
and see what the response would be. Because see, then they would know that you know, but you don't know everything, but that you know, and that might actually break open a conversation that could be had rather than she responding with "Okay for you."
Yeah.
That
I
you have no
if
idea.
she is part of my DNA, and she's kind of like my daughter. I don't know how much of it would be. She's about 15. I've been wanting to ask my wife. I said, "Honey," I said, "if she comes to us, could we adopt her?" She's my child, and
If
I
certain DNA check would reveal that.
yeah.
And secondly, you would have, because the other half would be extraterrestrial, you
Hmm.
would have, and I know you, so I'm going to go ahead and say this anyway. You would have a very strong telepathic, broad telepathic communications bandwidth with this individual.
Yeah.
So you would be able to communicate just about everything just through telepathy.
Yeah. Well, my wife has seen her twice. So that means other people can see her walking, and she must be the same individual.
There you
Just kind of
go.
something spooky going on. And my car the other day did the
I,
same thing.
I just treat everything like an experiment.
Yeah, and I know I can ask you because you're an expert in this stuff, and but my car did the same thing with trouble. The I turned it on and I saw this engine light come on, and then I tried to pull forward and it wouldn't go. And the
Yeah,
emergency brake, nothing was on, no brakes and nothing on. I always check that, and it wouldn't move. So I turned the car off, sat there for about a minute or so, and then turned it back on, and then it moved. Well,
yeah,
the dealership couldn't find any problem. I got two cars, and the other car they couldn't find any problem. This happened with both cars.
yeah.
And,
That was an electrical interference. I know the cause. I know the result. I had it happen to a Chevy,
yeah,
and I had to invent a fix for it, but
how,
I did, and it worked.
how
So
did who you think's doing it? The,
it's an external electrical interference. So it could be one of ours or one of theirs. Dave, come
yeah.
on.
Okay. All right. Let's get the watchers. Not just talk about me here. Let's talk about in general. Watchers in general. Who are they today, Michael? And who might they be watching?
Okay, are you talking about the watchers that are like from Fringe? The watchers, like as in Men in Black type thing?
Yeah, that and biblical references to watchers and
Oh,
throughout
okay.
history.
Yeah, the
Throughout
over
history.
those are, yeah, the lower angelic realm. Okay. So the watchers, in one colloquial interpretation of the term, are the Men in Black, the temporal police, the cops that make sure that if you're time traveling, you don't bust the laws, you don't do anything, you don't change anything. So, for instance, if that girl that you saw is actually a time traveler, and she actually started chatting, interfacing with you, you might find yourself face to face with a Men in Black, because she might be about to say something she shouldn't say, and the
Okay.
Men in Black would stop her from doing that. Um, if you're talking about the Watchers, as in the giants and the giant energies and the Watchers of the Hopi land and the overlords of lore, then to me that's the lower angelic realm. So that's going to be your seventh dimensional beings,
Mhm.
and they generally don't interface directly with us unless there's somebody at seventh or fifth who's providing undue influence on what's going on with us lowly third dimensional beings here.
Yeah, really
Okay.
low.
So while the lowly humans who have been altered like 50 times in the last five rises of man can are not ready, then there's not going to be a lot of introduction, interference, how do I say, cross pollination of anything between the Watchers and us, unless somebody goes and tries to pull a Samson option to destroy the world. Then that might be the time that would be a time for them to interfere, because this laboratory is unique. We're in an area of space that not only has a local star cluster, but we've got a gap of matter. Space is full of matter,
Mhm.
and we're in this gap of matter in space on order of 1,000 light years, kind of thing, and it's just a lot lower. It's not that it's devoid, and that makes this laboratory easy to watch from a distance and special. This laboratory called Earth.
Yeah. I want the people to know and understand where you started getting your knowledge. And I just, alluded to, and we did the last show about this too, about these 3 8 foot tall ETs that give you information. This is how you got started in
Right.
knowing things, and they're still sending you stuff, no doubt. Just tell us briefly about that encounter so people know how you got your start.
Sure, sure. So, first of all, while you got your pencil out, write down uh, Arizona UFOs.tv. Arizona UFOS.tv. The second video on there is a 50-minute story, complete, of the entire interaction with ETs. So I leave things out every time, but in that one, I was really, really thorough, and you can watch all of that. But just let's just say that after I got done, when I got done with the Department of Defense, I retired in 1990 from doing missile and satellite systems, and I went into multimedia, and then I found myself being a 3D animator for Macromedia, and then I found myself being a developer for Macromedia, and then I crossed over and was doing at the same time being a developer for Apple. I speak in code in 19 languages and scripts. So there was a point in there after I left the government, and before I was really, really popular in developing multimedia titles for K-12. I was recruited by this group in Phoenix called the Inner Circle, and the Inner Circle's job was to find cover-ups, and so we found cover-ups. And like one of the first ones was when I put on talk radio on Bob Mohan's show. I think it was 6:20 a.m. Uh, um, frequency, not time. And I talked about chemtrails, and they shut me up in a hurry, and the CIA threatened my wife and my life
Mm.
about 30 days later. So that made me go to Fox, my producer friend at Fox TV, and talk about chemtrails. And I built websites and T-shirts talking about chemtrails, because don't threaten me, that shit don't
Yeah,
work.
right.
And so that just motivates me. So it got me into opening more holes, more hole, and more things I found. More my brain was putting pieces and parts together, and the more weird shit started happening to me at our house, including a ball of light flying through our bedroom at night one time, a shadow being walking through our house. We all saw it, all three of us in our family. Um, let's see. Oh, a about 18-inch tall blue bird that telepathically communicated with us, Carla and myself. That I think it's called a Merlin bird,
Mm.
not not native to Phoenix where we lived at the time, and yet there it was. And then we looked around, looked back after looking at each other. We looked back and it wasn't there. And then the coup de grace, of course, was July of 2001 when we were sound asleep in the bed and all of a sudden I was moving, she was numbed, and I was floating down the hall and sat on my feet at the end of the hallway with a decision to meet or fleet, as it were. So I had to either turn around into the kitchen and meet with these beings or make a right hand turn and go out the front door and run. So since I don't run from anything and my family's in the house,
Yeah.
I turned and met, and I was expecting, Dave, I was expecting to meet the little 3.5 footers. And it wasn't the 3.5 footers, it was these 8 footers. And I don't want to spend the whole show talking about that because you guys now have the URL to go watch it on your own while eating popcorn and drinking your favorite beverage.
Yeah. Uh, that sounds good, but
The ETs gave me the ability to get data from the stream of all knowledge, whatever that is. Some call it the Akashic record. I don't know if that's exactly the same or not, but I can get any question you ask or anyone asks or I ask, I can get the answer to, with very few exceptions. And
uh,
so I help people by answering their questions. Go ahead, Dave.
very good. Now I ask you, what the hell are we going to talk about this time? Because we talked about a lot of stuff, and I got a list of things here. But uh, you mentioned World War IV ended, and we're in a cleanup mode, and we now have to prepare those who are capable of comprehending it. What did you mean by that, World War IV? Explain that to the audience. And like we've already fought World War III, and then we're cleaning up on World War IV.
Yeah.
Just a little bit about that.
Yeah. World War III was 1986 to 1991. And we were the peak of the spear to take down the Soviet Union.
Mhm.
And the primary weapon was money. And so we did a lot of things with money that were very creative, none of which were real, but it appeared real to the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union couldn't keep up. And all those tricks and all the people involved and all the people that were owed money and everything else, all those bond records and all the gold and everything else was in the World Trade Center. And the bonds were due and payable September 12th, 2001. But September 11th, 2001, all those records disappeared.
Yeah,
Imagine that.
a lot of things have been disappearing.
And it's a whole lot more. So all of 9/11 was only about basically destroying evidence and stealing $1 trillion of gold and starting the loss of American rights and the beginning of taking over 7 countries' oil in the Middle East. Okay.
That's big time.
Right, yeah. Oh, and I did a whole presentation, a whole hour's presentation on 9/11. It's that contact in the desert, where I actually brought my beam weapon. Did I show you my beam weapon last time? Did we?
I think you might show it again because
Oh,
people may not
yeah.
see. Yeah.
So, anyways, I took it to, there and burnt down a model of the World Trade Center on stage, which was pretty exciting and fun. Um,
Is that kind of like a do weapon, they call it?
it is. It is. It's a handheld dew weapon that I created that is very effective at starting anything on fire that's black. Um, within a reasonable distance. And I'm not going to release what that distance is because that's classified.
Yeah.
Because I will be selling these soon, and I don't want any of the bad guys to know what the limitation is.
Okay. But World War IV, we're cleaning up now
Yeah.
after that.
So
So,
World War IV was the good guys against the bad guys. Okay, so there's no countries anymore involved in this. This is fifth and sixth gen warfare.
Mhm.
So there's no like this country versus that country. There's good and bad in every country. There's good and bad in every group. There's good and bad in every Marine platoon. There's good and bad in every church. There's good and bad. Okay, it's just the way it is, and that's the number two rule that ET taught me, and the download that they gave me was the number two most important thing. There's no benevolent species. There's no malevolent species, but you can substitute the word group for species at any time and apply it anywhere, and it's a really good thing to do. So, um, the World War IV is finally the culmination of the bad guys have had control of this planet for about 75 years, and they began by getting their power by sacrificing children and doing things. I don't know how far about how much of that you want to talk about on your show, but it's really heinous, really heinous. Okay, and like where they got stealing girls and then impregnating them and growing children and sacrificing them and all that kind. I mean, it's just heinous use of the human species.
We just had to say this is for entertainment purposes only on this one. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So this is for, although the busts have been made and they have been made public over the last 30 days of 200, 300, and 400 group of circles who were doing this, who have just been arrested.
Yeah.
Uh, that said, okay, so
There is records
yes,
on that. Yeah, there is records, Michael, of people being caught for trafficking, human trafficking, and so they're being arrested now. And it's not a conspiracy theory; it's actually real, Michael, what you're talking about.
it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a conspiracy fact.
Yeah.
People don't need to understand. People see, I've litigated in the state and federal courts for 47 years. Is what people need to realize about conspiracy is a crime. Conspiracy is a plan by two or more people to commit a felonious crime, and that in itself is a crime.
Mhm.
So when people started looking into the Kennedy report, you remember from '63 when JFK was shot, the CIA invented the term conspiracy theorist to throw onto people who were looking into things like government crime that they wanted to deny. And so what they did was they demeaned the people who were looking into it by creating the term, and you can look this up, conspiracy theorist, CIA creation. I believe it was done in 64, 65. Anybody that was looking into it, into a crime by the government was a conspiracy theorist, and that therefore nothing they say should be taken. The
Right.
funny thing is, when you break it down, conspiracy is a crime planned by two or more people. And the theory is you just don't know who all's in on it.
Yeah. That's true.
Back to World War
Yeah.
IV.
Yeah.
So back to World War IV. So this battle that we're doing is between the bad guys. Okay, now I don't have to say any more detail of what they do. The bad guys who are in every country, every church, every group, every religion, everything. Okay, and the good guys who are in every country, every church, every group, every religion, everything. So these good guys against the bad guys is what's making World War IV happen. At the same time, civil war happening in every country on the planet. So there's virtual unrest, virtual and civil unrest in almost every country on the planet, unless they're directly involved in being attacked and they're running and hiding or whatever they're doing. Like even Israel, if as soon as Netanyahu is not attacking somebody, the people are out on the streets in the millions, protesting against Netanyahu. So we have to realize that this is a global thing, not just an American thing. World war, hence, right?
Right.
Four, because I just told you when the third one ended. Now, oh, I lost my hearing, so I can't hear you. Hang on just a second.
Lost your hearing. Yeah, I was thinking that
So
the
this World War IV is a battle for the survival of humanity to stay in charge of planet Earth. Okay. And that is because some really bad people that we'll call the Cabal
yeah.
made a deal with the Draco reptilians who used to run this planet for 500 million years. And some of them still think that they should have it, even though they were wrong and they got kicked out. These bad group of humans just made a deal that if they kill 95% of the rest of the humans, that then they can then give the planet to the Draco. And then also some little piece of something will be reserved for these 5% elitist, right? Well, that's what they thought was going to happen, but we weren't dumb enough. The people, we didn't fall for their tricks. We are not dead. We are stronger than ever. We're more aware than ever.
Mhm.
We now know the truth more than ever, and we're not going anywhere. And so, therefore, that elite group in the Cabal has to deal with whatever the Draco have to serve them for failing their task. Not us.
Mhm.
We got the golden age coming.
Yeah. What's the Dracos feed upon? They feed upon our anger
The
and
Draco, they feed upon, they're omnivoric. They feed upon anything and everything. These are not alpha Draco. These aren't the fifth dimensional version of them. These are 3D from the Lyran and Draco constellations. These are beings that die just like you do and I do. These aren't impervious to attack or anything else. They got kicked out because they abused the planet. When you're making 250-foot versions of yourself and 7, 8, 9,000-foot trees, Earth is not meant for that. It's not what it was designed for. And when you're asked to stop, but you don't stop, you just do it bigger and better than before, then eventually the landlord kicks you out.
Mhm.
Okay. And who's the landlord? Let's not go into that.
That's what that's what
That's
I was going to ask you. I think
our pay grade, my friend.
okay.
But Earth will always be protected because it is such a beautiful laboratory.
Mhm. And that's why they don't want it destroyed, I guess. They'll stop any
Yeah.
nuclear war that we start,
And that's
right?
why, it's not the Draco aren't allowed to just, for instance, come in and wipe us out. They have the technology to wipe out themselves 95% of humanity before they would have really a whole lot of defense brought against them. But that is against exo law. That's exopolitically no-no. They however, if they convince the humans to kill themselves and then give the planet to them, that's allowed. And so that's what we had to deal with. But it was a 16-year battle, and try as though the bad guys may, using demonic forces and everything else, they failed.
Yeah.
And so we are are here. Humans, Dave, you know this. You've met a lot of humans in your life from all over the world, right?
Right.
Humans are generally nice, kind, magnanimous, if I may say, sharing, caring beings, right? It's only when we get nudged, long enough that we turn and become bad, right? Or we're drugged,
Brain
or we're
brainwashed.
programmed, or whatever.
Brainwashed with propaganda. Yeah, that's usually
Yeah.
turns it on. But also these these Dracos, they control things. How do humans why do humans do these things for this underground Draco organization? Do they get paid money or they get some kind of a benefit like the Cabal or the New World Order or the elites? Michael, what do they get paid?
They got there into that elite position because of, so like 20 years ago, when they were getting started and they were recruited because of a family bloodline or whatever, they had to pass certain tests. And when they pass those tests, which are specifically heinous, then they get to go in and then they get to be promoted based upon how much recruiting they do, how many children they provide for others to use, and all kinds of things. So, behind the scenes of royalties around the world and presidents around the world and things like that are these actions of heinousness that keeps them and their surrounding groups in power, while all of us just rotate out underneath.
Mhm.
Like, there's no way the average guy gets to be president of the United States. It doesn't happen.
Mm.
All of them are. I'm not saying that presidents are all bad or anything else. Please don't ever read anything else other than what I say. Okay, so all the presidents are within 14th cousins of each other.
Right.
And so if since that's the case, and all of us aren't, by the way. So if that's the case, then there must be something to this continuance of those in power stay in power, and the rest of us get told a story that, of course, is not truth. And it gets right now, mainstream news is exactly the opposite of truth.
Yes.
That's why we are making such inroads in our audiences and stuff, is because we're the only avenue left for truth.
Right. I see that they are part of the whole plan, that somebody is being paid at the top to produce news that's going to be lies or fake or whatever, and try to, it's a psyops type of situation, where all of them are doing this. But I get tired of that. And I wanted to ask you too. You said all presidents are like, why do they hate Trump so much? And I think there's some elites and corrupt people that don't like Trump. So
Oh,
what is the
it's huge. Okay, so here's the deal. We have this experiment that we created, that I helped create back in the 1780s and 1770s, called America, a constitutional republic. And there are safeguards giving the people ultimate freedom and giving government ultimate constraint, but still providing the necessary protection at the enormous level for we the people. That's really what it was about.
right?
And the powers that be globally don't want that. What this war really was globalism versus nationalism. Okay, so the nationalists believe that we can be a country, we can provide for ourselves in almost everything, and then we can have our own level of living, our own comfort style, our own processes, and if we want to, we can trade with other people. Okay, that's nationalism. Globalism is, there's a handful in a tiny country who think that they know more than anybody else and can tell the whole world how to live the same, no matter what your culture is, and tax you immensely for their services, by the way. And you will all be one people. But the thing is, we're not ready for one people on this planet yet, not even close. But nations and ambassadors is an amazingly successful formula. So what Trump is doing is flying in the face of the globalists, because they thought they had us, dude. It was like fourth quarter, and we're down by 14 with 2 minutes left.
Mhm.
Okay.
I know.
And Trump comes in at quarterback with the military in moving the ball, and they stopped certain death from happening by way of 7 semi-loads of artificial ballots being brought across the northern border, stopped it cold, allowing, you know, at least, a semblance of reality to happen.
Right.
And then what Trump is doing is he's breaking down all of their attempts to destroy the American culture, to destroy the American family, to destroy American values, to destroy what people think makes America great again. Now, it's very difficult to run any kind of company or military, or I dare say country, if you don't have everybody on board trying to achieve the same goal.
Right.
Okay, otherwise you're certainly not operating at efficiency. So the same goal should be, hey, let's make America more profitable for Americans. Let's make America less strenuous for Americans. Let's make fewer Americans live under bridges in San Francisco.
Yes.
Okay, so if we work on those things and we can fix them, then we can worry about what everybody else has to do. And if that means we charge everybody else the same kinds of taxes that they've been charging us for 50 years, but we haven't been charging them, then we charge them those taxes. Those taxes are called tariffs.
Mhm.
And what Trump also is, he's not only the master of the deal, he's also one hell of a poker player. So he says, I've got I've got 150% tariffs I'm going to lay on all of you.
Very good.
Big, big tariffs, big, beautiful tariffs. I'm going to lay it on all of you. And you're going to need to bring yours down. And so finally, in a week or two or 30 days or whatever, everybody's scrambling to bring their tariffs down so that we do what? Bring our tariffs down. Now, what's the net? That's not, oh, Trump is backing down from what he was going to do at all. He said that he would make America profitable. What he did is he used a tool, most of it temporary, but all of a sudden, the whole world knows we've got this new weapon called the tariff, and he will wield it like nobody's business. So now everybody's going to start playing fairer. This is how you stop wars, Dave.
Right.
This is
Yes.
how you stop wars from happening, disagreements between countries and things. Now, there's still work to do. You can't undo 50 years of fudgifying America in 100 days, but it's happening. Okay. And they hate him because all the work that they were doing to destroy America and its culture is being undone to the point where judges and representatives are being arrested for helping illegals
Mhm.
break the law in this country. And it's about time. I'll tell you, these podunk judges that think that they can tell a president what to do, I have a comparison for that.
It's crazy.
A podunk district judge that thinks that he can tell a president what to do is like a city cop telling the Supreme Court how to rule.
Yeah.
It's just as ridiculous.
Yes.
Orders of magnitude are the same, Dave.
And there's the other party who just goes along with all this crime and everything. I don't want to get into politics, but ideology and what's going on in the world. But there's one party who says Trump is crazy and everything he's doing, he's ruining the country. I don't think so. Give the man a chance, number one. And I want to ask you, Michael, do presidents know about the reptilians, draconians, and the underground war that's going on?
Some yes, some no. Trump knows. He put together Space Force.
Yes.
Yeah, he brought the secret space program out into the public. I mean, his uncle collected all of
Yes.
Tesla's notes. So yes, President Trump is a lot smarter than the left or TV will ever give him credit for. And if you want to find out how he really is, of course, you got to talk to people who have met him personally or meet him personally, and you'll find out that he and the whole family really are real people.
Oh,
And
I got a buddy. I got a buddy.
to hang around with. They got a
Yeah.
sense of humor.
Yeah. I got a buddy that's Troy Anderson. He wrote a book, The Trump Code, and he's saying that Trump and Barron Trump. This book was written in 1890. Barron Trump, His Greatest Adventures, by a guy named Lockwood. Uh, he says that Trump is some kind of a time traveler and knows what's going to happen, and he's just following what he knows through time traveling. Is that possible, Michael?
Well, I'm going to say that it's highly, 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 highly unlikely
Mhm.
that his body went back in time. However, if he had access to Tesla's notes, then he may know, using the three sixes and nines of the mind, be able to remote view something and see the future. This would be the author uh, of the book. Might be able to remote view. That would be I would say orders of magnitude more likely than Trump going back in time and saying, "Hey, dude, write a book about my kid."
Barron Trump, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
and Barron is wait world.
yeah, yeah. He's
That's wait world.
he's
Barron is going
uh,
to be
you know,
quite an influence.
they look like Palladians. I think the Trump family,
There's
Michael.
There's 7 or 8 different kinds of Pleiadians I know about that don't look alike, anything alike each other at all. So it all depends on what you mean.
Have you, I
Talking
guess
about the
you've
long
been,
blonde haired ones.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you
Well,
met them?
no, I haven't met them. I know of them. Um, there's a there's an Ewok group from the Pleiades too. That's pretty funny. Um, anyways, go ahead with the next question. I don't want to
All
get
right.
off.
Let's get into this World War IV. You're talking about if people are capable of comprehending, does that mean we have to raise our consciousness and our vibrations in order to have the ETs accept us, Michael?
Well, first of all, we have to realize how bad some humans can be, and then we have to have justice for those who were abused, and then we can start to feel like we can be a more advanced species. We have to have knowledge, and then we have to act on the knowledge. And so, as these next few months, especially through June, reveal things about what's really been going on over the last 16 years, then um, people are going to be arrested. People are going to be put in Gitmo and other places. Uh, the Indian Ocean, Iceland. There's all kinds of places where people can go, and Alcatraz. It would that be interesting? Hey, Pelosi, boom, there you are. You're in Alcatraz. It would be, we have to have this feeling that there's an application of the law is equal for everyone, and until that happens, Dave, we're in a world of hurt here, not just in America but everywhere. Back in 1215, we held a sword to the head of a king and said, "You will recognize the rights of everybody," and that's how it's supposed to have been since. But occasionally, kings uh, remerge, and so we have to hopefully hold up a parody of a sword this time, not an actual sword, and make them do what's right for the freedom of all people.
Mhm.
The rights, individual rights that need to be respected, like freedom of speech. There's such a huge, I don't know if you know this, there's a huge attempt by the globalists in the EU to destroy our freedom of speech
Yes.
because we use apps that are coming out of the EU,
Mhm.
like Viator and TripAdvisor and things like that. They're trying to make us submit to EU law, which means I don't have freedom of speech anymore, which means I'm on a tour telling people what's going on, and now I can't say what EU doesn't want me to say.
Well, UK lost their First Amendment rights. They didn't. Well, yeah.
They're not in the EU, and I'm not. And the US doesn't have. Well, yeah. Well, the US has First Amendment laws, but if you use an app, a software to do what you do, and let's say somebody books a tour with you through the software, and they're from Europe, they're expecting you to comply to European law. And I won't do that.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
not going to happen. I'm
mm,
not going to curtail my freedom of speech for anybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I even I even use words you can't use.
yeah, yeah, UK will actually. They said
Just because,
they'll put you in jail for saying things that they don't like. And
right? Isn't that crazy? And
it is.
so I'm fighting. That's really, really, really what Truth on TV is about. Obviously,
Mhm.
is making sure that we can continue to do this kind of stuff.
So how's this all going to play out, Michael? Are we going to win the good over the evil? Are we going to win soon?
Well, we won the war because they did not get their quota. So at the end of 2024, at the end of 2024, officially the war between the Alliance and the Cabal ended. But you remember those stories after World War II, you hear about these Japanese warriors on these islands who are still living and battling and everything else. That's the kind of crap we're dealing with right now, Dave. So we've still got groups of power with tools who want to wield those tools to still do damage, even though they've lost.
Yeah.
And so we're mopping them up
Yeah.
right now, big time.
Well,
And
President,
we
yeah,
moved 15 million people out of the country, by the way.
right. Michael, Trump stopped all chemtrails. He's put an order, no more chemtrails. Uh,
Well, what he's done is I would like to maybe suggest that he hasn't. What he's done is he's ordered everyone to look into the chemtrail phenomenon. They're spraying us still. So um, what he's done is, since we've got 5 states that already have it in law and 5 more that already have it in bill form, he wants the entire country and the national level through HHS, because it's a health issue, to look into the chemtrails. That's a good thing. You can't stop them, I don't believe, because there's so much that happens in European airports, and they fly here and let loose with stuff. It's a really, look. This is so big they threatened my life when I exposed this. Okay, so let's
That's
think
what,
about that.
that's,
Right?
that's what I
It's
went back
big.
to. So, no.
It's a lot easier to shut the border and get rid of 15 to 30 million people than it is to stop chemtrails. Believe it or not.
All right. Are they doing things to affect our DNA? I'm talking about the bad guys or the ETs, because I think they're messing with our DNA, engineering it, or taking our DNA and reinforcing the biological bodies, whatever. But I have another. Here's something else in the suitcase I want to throw at you on this one. But the like cattle, when they mutilate cattle and take their DNA, my idea is they're using that DNA to grow cattle on another planet for another human species for protein. Maybe that's a theory. I don't know, Michael.
I'll give you the answer to that I got.
All right.
And that is, they're using the mucous membranes because that's the easiest place to clone cells from.
Okay.
So they're making cows food
Mm-hmm.
for, or some part of a cow, because they'll just generate stem cells to use for whatever. Maybe they're only making veal cutlets. I don't know. But they're that's a joke. But they have the ability, by taking the mucous membrane cells, those are the most adaptable, and then freezing or transporting or whatever they do with those, stabilizing those so that they don't decay in time, and taking them to wherever they're taking them.
Yeah.
That's
There's
what I got out of it.
lot of humanoids in this galaxy. They say there's
Oh
what
yeah.
27 different planets with humans, and apparently these ETs are taking the protein here that they put together. Now they're taking it to other planets to feed them. That's the whole thing that I think that's in a
Here's
nutshell.
the interesting thing about that, Dave, is that everything that we're talking about as far as being food is carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen,
Hmm.
everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And so as long as you have a source for carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, and pretty much nitrogen is available anywhere in space. It's a lot more sparse, but it's available.
Mhm.
So you can gather your own or create your own by using, deuterium and lithium and combining it to get oxygen. Or, I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can, synthesize protein and grow it in a lab.
Mhm.
So there's really no need to go to another planet, however many light years away that might be, and abuse their animals for a sample. Now, what I do think is probably more likely, mathematically more plausible, is that the cow is a new and different creature. And so they wanted to get a sample of the cow that they could take with them in their ship that's stable. And those are the cells that are the most stable from the mucous membranes. And so they pull like a Black Knight satellite kind of thing and just shove the cells of the DNA of that bovine animal into a storage location. And now they've got that for their studies when they go back home.
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know.
Why do they mess with human DNA through abduction? And I told you I've had this happen to me, and I regressed the dream where a little hose went to my midsection here. I'm not going to say exactly, get detailed, but
Yeah.
I think that's where like keep saying about this hybrid daughter. Maybe people might think I'm crazy, but I am seeing this, and something just doesn't make sense. But I know there's been I've seen three ETs up close, and I know that they've taken DNA and sperm samples from me.
Yeah.
So, and I know that has to be done something. They're doing something with it. So what are they doing with that, Michael, from humans?
Well, generally, the hundreds and hundreds of different experiments that were going on, genetic experiments with humans from the 1950s and 1960s have completed. But to my knowledge, there's still 22 experiments that are ongoing um, from 11 different species. And what they do is they are still doing things to the downline of the people that they did originally, and the downline and the downline and the downline. So I would have to say it's most likely that your mother or father were first done, and you, if I can guess your age, about somewhere around mine, is like the first generation down, and so they're very interested in you, and will be interested in your children as well.
Yeah. My mom, who's 97, she has had ET experiences.
Yeah.
And actually, I've been wanting to do a video with her, and she talks like she's 50. She's very, but
Well,
she,
you better convince her of it. Okay,
yeah,
get all the information you can from her while one, she remembers it, and two, she's still on this world. I'm
yeah,
not saying she's going anywhere. Don't misinterpret what I'm saying.
I know. Yeah,
She would rather.
the numbers aren't there for her. Yeah,
Right. Odds.
yeah, but she's very, she still has her mind,
Good.
and she's very talkative. And I want to do this film. I got the camera, got it ready. I don't want to do it on a cell phone, so I got a Sony cam. I'm going to do it in her living room, and I'm going to do about about an hour.
Pick
So
up a couple of LED panel lights.
yeah, I got a couple of
It's
those.
worth the $180 or whatever it takes to get them. They're phenomenal. It changed my studio into something entirely different and better once I got those light LED light panels.
Yeah, I got two of them on me now, and I got two behind me that's not on, but I got
You
one.
dial the color into kind of yellow so they're not really white bright and stuff too, because
Yeah,
those are
I can do that. Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
it's nice. You
The-
look good there. You look good there. You're cut really nice on that. Is that a chroma key that you're doing?
yeah,
Are you feeling
that's a
green?
green screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's called chroma key. Yeah, you're cut nice. There's no fraggles.
Mhm.
Once in a while, one of the headphones reflects a little bit, but other than that, it's really really good. Really good job, buddy.
Thank you, Michael, from an expert like you. I'll have to write that. Let me write that down. But no, uh, how are we going to? What do you think these UFOs and ETs are flying all over the place right now? There's more in number. Is time kind of speeding up right now, Michael? Or are things are going to start happening? Like they say in biblical times. I don't think it's going to be Armageddon or the rapture or whatever, but will there be kind of a rapture where maybe ETs will take us in those big giant ships and take a lot of humans away? And have they taken humans away? People have
Well,
disappeared,
there
Michael.
have been trades. There have been trades. The Greada Treaty from 52 and that, there have been trades. Some humans have been traded away in order for other things and technologies to be given to us and things. Some humans were traded for the 4,000 square feet on the backside of the moon for Lunar Operations Command. Like there have been, but generally they're not just coming and swiping humans because the data on humans is now available. And the magic is the second chromosome. And of course, they still haven't figured out how to do that because only Enki could figure out how to do that.
Mhm.
And that's what makes Earth humans, so really bizarrely special and intriguing and important to them. Because they would love to have direct connection to 11th dimension creator, but they don't.
Yeah.
And we do.
Wow.
And so it's important to be grateful for that, by the way, because it's a really good friend to have on your side.
Mm. Well, they've been talking about, I don't know, the internet, there's a lot of fake news on the internet too, and you can't believe more than half of it. But they're talking about the Anunnaki is coming back. NASA said this. There's huge ships out there. One ship that's a mile long, it's a mothership coming this way. And they said it should be here by 2026, 2027, sometime then. But if they're going to be here, they can be here faster than that, couldn't they, Michael?
Well, Dave, first time I read that was 1994 or 95.
Oh,
Quote was, "They're coming back, and boy, are they pissed." That was the quote about the Anunnaki that were supposed to return any minute now,
mhm.
like Nasara any minute now.
Yeah,
Like
like
flat Earth, any minute now, it'll all be exposed. So um, fact of the matter is, um, there is a cycle. There's always things that go in cycles, and there is a 27,000 year cycle. And at that time, there could very well be a planetary object that comes close enough to us, or a group of objects, a black star or whatever, that comes close enough to affect our um, our planet in a gravitational interference type way. But that's really only happened a couple of times in 17 billion years. So I'm really not concerned about it happening tomorrow, Dave.
no, I'm not. There's been so many end times. Like I'm not saying I'm not picking on preachers or anything, but a lot of them come up with these end time ideas and they scare people to death. Nothing ever happens. It's been going on for thousands of years, so we can't predict. And the Bible was right about that. We can't. Yeah, yeah, money. Yeah, you can't predict. When the end of the world's going to come, and also a heaven and hell. I don't think there is a heaven and hell. Do you, Michael?
Not in the way that they do that, but I know this only because of history. Gehenna was invented in 14 something, and that's where hell came from in the Bible. And Gehenna was the outer ring of an area where they dug a trench and buried people and lit them on fire. Not lit them on fire and buried people, and they were usually shallow graves, and wolves and things would drag them out of the graves and things, and so that was hell. That's where hell came from.
Mhm.
Heavens, the heavens is misinterpreted. The heavens is everything between everything. It's everything, I should say, above the 50-mile line. So the firmament is the 50 miles to Earth. I think that's the firmament.
Yeah.
And then the heavens is where the stars are, not the firmament and the planets. The heavens is everything beyond 50 miles. And people, here's the thing for flat earthers. In when was it? 1988. I was working with a set of equipment that we set up, and we fired a signal at the moon and bounced back, and we got exactly that it was 244,125 miles. And we knew that by the way the phase had shifted in the signal that we had sent.
Mhm.
And so, come on, it's not a little thing that's only 10 miles away and all this kind of stuff. There's so much wrong. Taken for granted because people have never been in real science. Like a guy like me, I've been in real science. You talk about missiles and satellites and all that kind of stuff. I sealed the Galileo probe that went to Jupiter. No, Jupiter is not 10 miles up. you
Yeah.
know, it's like there's all these calculations and things that you have to do for the rotations of everything based on where they are, because they're all round and they go in round circles. And so it's funny sometimes to see how people will get sidetracked by stories like, Anunnaki are coming back or whatever. But the most important thing is for us to not be distracted by these Pentagon, E-ring, PSYOP stories that get let out into our lexicon. We should be concentrated on making us more human,
Well,
making us good examples of humanity.
one last question. You hear so much about Antarctica. What's going on in Antarctica, Michael?
Antarctica is it's a compilation of more scientists than anywhere else in the world, and they have bored down through the ice and gotten down to the land and have found a couple of ships and have found some beings and have found some technology and have found all the kind of stuff, and they're trying to figure out what the heck to do with it.
Yeah.
The thing that I have never forgotten is a movie called Alien versus Predator.
Yeah.
And one of them was stored in Antarctica, chained and frozen. And what these guys are doing, if something like that actually were there, would thaw it out. And I don't think that that's a really good idea, Dave.
Yeah. Really.
Nor do I think genetically engineering a Gila monster into Godzilla is a good idea either.
It's not.
Don't do it,
No.
Godzilla. No.
anything's possible now. What they're doing, they can recreate doubles, and there's been a lot of human doubles.
Oh,
Uh,
absolutely. Body doubles, and I do the way I understand it, we have successfully cloned humans in at least 5 different countries.
yeah,
So
we're not
how
supposed
far
to
are
do
they
that.
willing to go with that? What are their ethics like? We already know that our ethics are would create something like the fake demic that they did a limited release of this bioweapon with, right? We already know that from our country it was made and then sent to China.
Mhm.
So uh so if we're going to be that bad, everybody else is probably going to be that bad. So we got a lot of work to do, Dave.
Yeah, I know we do, buddy.
Yeah, make them human.
What are they going to come up with next? Like the dew weapon cause fires all around the globe.
Great thing about do weapons is that they aren't nuclear weapons.
Yeah, they're targeted. Yeah.
They're and the great thing about Iran being able to defend itself without a nuclear weapon is they can use do weapons.
Hmm.
And that stops all the other weapons from coming in and attacking them.
Yeah.
Think about that with all the words that have been said lately.
Yeah. Well, Trump says that we have weapons that people had never seen before. I know the scientists and the military, the MIT, the Military Industrial Complex, MIC, I know they have a lot of stuff that we don't know about.
What do you want to know, Dave?
Uh, I get, I know we have lasers. I know we have do weapons, but do
Here's
we
the
have?
biggie. Here's the biggie. Neutral particle beams. Those are the ones that nothing stops because they're not charged particle beams or neutral particle beams. Those weapons, they make everything with a steel projectile and gunpowder obsolete.
Hmm.
That's,
So
I want to know, Dave. What do you?
that would be the ass kicker stuff, huh?
Yeah, that's the ones. Have you seen the big gash on Mars?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. There's things that I know that they don't tell us. They keep everything from us. History is not what we're told it is.
2% of history I think is probably factual. The rest is all BS. Kind of
Yeah.
like the Bible, the truth is in there in the 2% in the center and it's wrapped with all this control.
Yeah. I've been fascinated by this story about the Tartarians. Do you know much about that, Michael? Did they come in from some other dimension for a while and then leave? What
The
happened?
Tartarians were they were more in the when Earth was smaller and the land masses were all one except
Mhm.
for major rivers. Some what is that? 400, 300, 400 million years ago, whatever it was. I think that's when um, Tartaria was big, and then Lemuria was after that because that had water and stuff in it. That's that. So after Earth grew the first time, and then you've got the whole Antarctica was really Atlantis when Earth was straight up and down because that put Antarctica about where Australia is, which is tropical. And then of course the whole planet goes through ice ages and tropical ages, and something comes by and throws us off. Like Venus is what caused Earth to tip 23 and a half degrees. Venus was a rogue planet, not part of our solar system. And it got caught by the sun, came in, and came close enough to Earth that it tipped Earth. And that's what caused huge tidal things and continent shifting and all kinds of stuff. That's what made India bump into the European, Asian continent and all that.
Hmm. Wow, that's billions of years ago. Well, can you believe it, Michael? We have been talking for almost an hour and 15 minutes, and it's time to let you go. You're a busy man, and I got a few things I got to do too. Even though I'm an old guy and I'm semi-retired, I still keep busy. Try to anyway. But
Absolutely.
but I really enjoy my time with you, Michael Osadana, and I know that that you have more that I can tap into as far as knowledge is concerned. So maybe we'll do another show down the road if you'd like to do.
Anytime.
Yeah.
Dave, every couple of weeks I could do one of these with you. So, and you just pick a topic and we'll discuss it.
Okay. We'll see what people, I'll ask people some questions and see if they, what they want to ask you and everything, since it's not doing.
Bribe him, pay him $5 to recommend me. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go. Okay. But we've been here with Michael Osadona and the Strange Reality with Dave Emmons. We want to thank you, and I hope that you enjoy the show. I know I enjoy talking to this guy. He's loaded with information. Thank you and good night, Michael. Thank you for doing the show. It's been great
Dave,
as usual. Michael Osadona and Strange Reality, Dave Emmons. Have a good one, everybody, and thank you for tuning in.